I'm Greg Henderson, and we're at Atlanta Vince Guitars, which is my little guitar store here in Marietta, Georgia. And this is Merlagine. Started out life as a Fender Lead 2. I found it in a pawn shop in Jasper, Georgia, from a friend of mine who's no longer with us. Had a little music store. It had a hockey stick neck on it, and it actually had belonged to another buddy of mine, David Shipman. And it had been sanded down. I think it was painted some god awful black, whatever. So I worked, I don't know how many hours I spent sanding this thing. And had a guy that paints Corvettes painted it. And the pickups came from my guitar teacher when I was a kid, 12, 13 years old, with Gene Lummis. Well, this came out of a 50s Silvertone U1. And then these two Danelectro Silvertone pickups came out of a Silvertone from my buddy Chunky Venable, who has since passed away. So Gene's passed away, Chunky's passed away, and it's just a way of remembering them. And that little Autocar emblem is tip the hat to my dad, who's also passed away. And he drove a red Autocar diesel truck for years, for about 8 or 9 years. And when I was a boy, me and my brother would go with him on trips to Alabama and Tennessee and I think North Carolina maybe, or South Georgia. We would go with my dad in the truck, and that's just to tip the hat to him. If I had to get down to one guitar, this would be it. It and a Les Paul I've got named Lulu, a Les Paul antique classic I've got that me and my wife bought after I was going to a Mexican restaurant in the days of bidding on eBay. But getting back to Merlagine, the reason why I call it Merlagine is after Merle Haggard and Gene Lummis. But it's just the reason I got the idea for it was seeing Steve Ray Vaughan with his white guitar that had 3 Silvertone pickups in it. And I said, I've got 3 Silvertone pickups and I've got this body, and so let's do something. So I did, and so they just have a sweetness about them. Another fine guitar player, Tommy Strain, I had these 2 pickups reversed, and he said, Greg, if you would reverse them, it would be noise canceling in the middle positions, and it is. And what people don't realize is Danelectros, they had the reverse wind single coil pickups down long before Fender did it. So and I love playing through the old PV amps. I don't care for the Chinese ones, but the ones made in Meridian, Mississippi, you can get such a good sound. And they can fall out of the back of your van and still work at the gig. They're just real dependable. But anyway,
We had a roadie like that.
yeah, oh yeah. It just you get that reason why Stevie used a guitar, the white guitar that he got from Charlie Wirtz on Flooding Down in Texas. That was his guitar. When we used to have my country band I had for 17 years, this was around me all night, and we would always play like that old Lefty Frizzell song. It just has a sweetness about it, the guitar does. Through one of those, I used to play it through a Music Man tube amp, which was a great sound too, but this is Merlagine. Like I said, between it and my Les Paul Classic that my wife Linda helped me get, if the house was burning down, this is one of them. And I guess another brown Strat I have at home, 82 Strat that I have. But this is Merle Jean, and it's a sweetheart. And me and it have played a lot of gigs together. I've done everything but sell cemetery lots. I've sold everything. Trailer, used mobile homes. I've sold coffee. I sold t-shirts. Sold cars. I sold plumbing supplies, electrical supplies, used cars, insurance for a while. And I was selling paint jobs when me and my wife met. And I hated it. I really, really, really hated that job. I hated going in every day. And back then, gas was $4.79 a gallon. And I started selling a little bit on eBay stuff, guitar parts and stuff. And my wife told me, she says, Greg, instead of you spending $250 a week in gas, why don't you do what you love? Just sit right there in that extra bedroom and just sell guitars. So I was selling parts on eBay and guitars on eBay and stuff. And my buddy that started Atlanta Vintage Guitars was fighting cancer. And he thought he had whipped it a time or two, and he'd had some surgeries, and finally he was supposed to have another big surgery, and he just said no. And in about a 4-month period, he went downhill fast. So he passed away, and for 2 years, Atlanta Vintage Guitars was sitting closed up on Windy Hill Road. There was another guy that was supposed to buy it, and one of Frank's buddies who had worked for Frank were selling the majority of the cream of the crop stuff out, and they had sold it down to where there wasn't a lot left. Well, there was 3 storage buildings full of stuff, but all the Primo stuff was pretty much gone. And I get a call one day. They had offered it to a buddy of mine who also sold guitars, but he didn't want a store. He had just sold his store. And so they called me one day and says, Greg, can you come up with this much money? And I said, why? And they said, well, if you can buy Atlanta Vintage Guitars. So I looked at it, borrowed the money, and was just going to sell online. Wasn't going to open a store or anything. But we kept the same phone number, which is on that sign over there. And I finally just said, customers kept coming in, and they were wanting to, or kept calling me and said they wanted a store they could come to. So me and another fella opened up Atlanta Vintage Guitars on Highway 92, and I immediately called Spencer because I knew that Spencer would be the one that would be the connection to give us I was kind of known in some circles, but not really. But the Atlanta guys all know Spencer. And me and Spencer both wanted something to do, so we opened up Atlanta Vintage Guitars. And we've been here for 12 years. And it's not been easy. It's tough having retail. It's tough having the money because I didn't have the money to open up a store. And by just doing what nobody else would do, I reckon, I have kept it open. And we're doing okay. We're hanging in there. And thanks to a lot of good customers and a lot of hard work. And but yeah, we love guitars. So that's kind of that's the bottom line to it.